Going on YouTube, Cloverbell's here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be spotlighting IronBundle for the regulationE format. And this is another Pokemon like Kingambit that has made a resurgence into the competitive Pokemon meta. Really good option back in Regulation C, of course, but kind of disappeared a little bit in Regulation D. Not like it was out of the meta completely. It was just like a little bit more niche and situational. It was still a good Pokemon, but people were just using other stronger, more consistent options there, so it kind of fell off a little bit. But now with the big threats that we see within the meta, like the Ogerpons and such, now all of a sudden IronBundle looks relatively good here, just because of the tools it can give you, with the support kit, as well as some of the damage you can deal, right? Especially with this base 124 special attack stat. So if you just consider like something like Ghost Terra here to just dodge, the fighting type attacks, all right, and then neutralize the the electric damage in that sense, and even like the grass type attacks. IronBundle is actually more of a threat, especially with something like Icy Wind here. Okay, so with Icy Wind, what you're able to do is deal a bunch of chip damage, and then from there get speed control on some other good fast options like an opposing Flutter Mane or even like a Roaring Moon, and then perhaps even your partner Pokemon can take advantage of that speed drop and potentially KO it, right? So that's the whole idea with IronBundle, is just getting like speed control, but it's actually a little bit more than that, right? If you just even consider something like Urshifu Water, right? IronBundle does well into that because you have Freeze Dry, which is the main selling point behind the IronBundle. So this gets neutralized relatively easily, right? And then if you just also consider something like Landorus with that Choice Scarf, okay? Landorus Choice Scarf unfortunately does not have the matchup against the IronBundle, right? So if you just like if this was max adamant speed Lando, right, and then even with the Choice Scarf you're only hitting 214. Now that being said, you still can outspeed the bundle in that sense, right? Because 214 is more than 2x6. But then what if I had this? What if I had the Booster Energy for a speed boosting IronBundle, and now all of a sudden the bundle is still very much faster than the Landorus, and this Choice Scarf might as well be almost irrelevant to that extent, right? So it does really well into Landorus, okay? And then at the same time, it just combos relatively well with stuff like Flutter Mane and Chiyu, because what you're able to do with these three, I always call these like, the three caballeros, the tres caballeros, as I like to call them, right? Because they just synergize relatively well, right? Because the IronBundle is able to go for Icy Wind, and then the Chiyu all of a sudden can just go for stuff like Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, and Snarl, and then some other filler move here like maybe Overheat for example. Just have like a choice spec set. But either way, speed, control is good here, and then all of a sudden now the IronBundle is going to start doing a huge amount of damage just because there is the Chiyu on the field. And if you even have Hydro Pump here, and like I understand it can miss, of course, but if you hit, right, 80% chance to hit, right? If you hit, it just does so much damage. And then Flutter Mane, of course, something that also likes the Icy Wind support, and especially against some of those Tailwind teams. So the Icy Wind, very much appreciated. And then just these two as a general is just going to do so much damage. So we do have some teams that can feature this three of a combination, and it's very strong and consistent, okay? And then from here, like, how do you want to build? Like, if you just look at this, all right, special defense, not so great. Physical defense is also not so great here. So if you just couple this with something like a Landorus, for example, I think the Intimidate support can do relatively well. And then even something like a Ninetales, for example, just like having the screen support with the Aurora just makes this entire team relatively bulky. And then what you can even do now is with the Snow Boost, you're getting a defense boost in general, right? This is much better than Obama Snow, right? So now you can even consider something like Blizzard on the IronBundle just to do a whole bunch more damage. But either way, the Ninetales and the bundle is just going to be relatively bulky, and then you just have like a bunch of good strong support options here. And then your last slot is maybe some fake out options, like maybe even something like an Iron Hands you can even consider, right, on something like this. Okay, I'm just like giving you some team building ideas. I'm not saying like this 6 necessarily, but I'm just presenting tools and ideas that people have used already with IronBundle that is like already relatively successful. Okay, so and then from there, like if I even just like go in Pikalytics, right? So Pikalytics again has all these top tier options, and look how well Bundle does into all of them, right? You can get speed control on the Flutter Mane, maybe not KO it, but you outspeeded, you can get control on that way. Iron Hands is the main one you got to watch out for, because of, again, the fighting move and the electric coverage. Tornadus, we can pretty much bop on the head. All right, Chien-Pao, that's another one, somewhat even, but again, Sacred Sword is just a thing, so be careful of that. Landers, we do relatively well in. The Ogres, we do relatively well, right? Pretty much all of them, right? Because whether this is, fire or Terra Fire, just you can Hydro Pump it or you can Freeze Dry it. Either way, it's going to do relatively well. Rillaboom, same thing. Like, again, you are weak to grass, so you do have to watch out for that. But then if you have, like, that strong defensive boost, especially coming from Veil or the Intimidate support, it's not going to do all that much. And then, Freeze Dry is just going to hit so much. Sinisha, same idea. Ursaluna, same idea. Heatran, same idea. Ogerpon, right here, same idea. Freeze Dry and a water coverage move is just great into all of these things that, this is like the top 10 or maybe like top 15. But even then, if I keep going, right, there's the partner Ninetales. Urshifu-Rapid Strike, again, Freeze Dry. Chi-Yu, we have a water move. Crest, okay. All right, not so much there. Amoonguss, yes, we do have Freeze Dry. Not going to KO, but still do a ton of damage. Arcanine, 4 times weak to water. We can do that. All right, Fergaf, Goldango, these are neutral matchups. Same with the Empoleon here, okay? But then as we keep going down, like Freeze Dry into Milotic, Freeze Dry into this Ogerpon, Hydro Pump here, Politoed can help me here, but again, I can Freeze Dry that. Roaring Moon, we have Ice coverage here, Ice coverage into Kommo, Ice coverage into Dragonite, okay? So like a lot of good options, within the meta that IronBundle can just do relatively well against. And again, it's not really necessarily about picking up these KOs. What it is getting control over them, right? And putting them in range into other things, right? Or getting the speed control against them, which is what you're supposed to do in a lot of these battles, okay? So now what we can do is just go into the Limitless website and just see what some of these successful teams have been doing with IronBundle, okay? Let's take a look. All right, so let's look here at the Sprout Tower. So this is that Snow team we were talking about here with Alolan, Ninetales, and IronBundle. So there's going to be a defensive boost here. And then, of course, the screen support just makes the entire team bulky. Rillaboom, Heatran, Landorus, they're going to enjoy the Aurora Veil very much from the Ninetales. But it's a standard set here. Terra goes with Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, and Icy Wind Protect. You won't find too much variance in some of these bundle sets. Some of them may choose to opt for Blizzard, some may not. But again, the whole idea here is speed control with your IronBundle, to help your Landorus and even the Heatran outspeed some of those threats. And same thing even with the Annihilate, right? So, after that, and you just stay on the field and then you're just spamming Freeze Dry while Ninetales is over here just clicking Blizzards and Moonblast, right? And then you have the Intimidate support here coming from your Landorus, so you're even more bulkier than you think, okay? So another good idea here, so like 1, 2, 3 strong special attackers, 3 strong physical attackers. This is how you want to do it. So that's one way to utilize this team. And then over here, this one, again, another Ninetales team with it, but this one has Blizzard. So no Icy Wind. They're going for the Blizzard spam with the Alolan, Ninetales, and Bundle. But like I said, Landorus is definitely coming here. You need the Intimidate support. Heatran comes back yet again. So same kind of 4. Then you add Iron Hands instead of the Rillaboom. And then here's the Flutter Mane in the other slot, right? So again, there is no Icy Wind speed control here, but that's okay. We're relying on the bulk from the Aurora Veil to just like withstand all these attacks, right? And you do have Taunt on this Flutter Mane, so that's also very, very interesting. But again, a team with Bundle, Landorus, Flutter, and even the Iron Hands here, that's like a very, very core staple. So I could even just start with those 4. You don't even necessarily need the Chi-Yu in that sense, right? But this is another cool way to utilize it. Similar ideas as the first team. Then if we go into Johnny's team here, so there is no Ninetales here, but this is just a straight up hyper offensive team. So we mentioned Bundle, Chi-Yu, Flutter before, right? This is the Tres Caballeros, as I like to call them, like I said in the beginning. But speed control rate, Icy Wind. So this is Life Orb and Protect, so no choice specs here. But you still have Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, Snarl, and Protect. So that's going to help the Bundle to stay on the field for a little bit longer. And the specs is actually here on the Flutter Mane, so that also makes sense. Then you bring back Landorus, Iron Hands, and then Tornadus rounds out the last 6 slots. So leave a little bit more speed control with Tailwind, but what you can do is win the mirror because you have Icy Wind over on the bundle, and you're not forced to run Icy Wind here on the Tornadus or the Flutter because you already have that coming from the IronBundle here So no Ogerpons on a lot of these teams that are going to be using Iron Bundle. But again, that's still fine. You know, so 1, 2, 3, technically 4 special attackers here, and then Landorus Iron Hands just adds Intimidate and Fake Out Pressure, and gives you some leeway into some of the Trick Room matchups. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, this is another way to use it. How about this one from Mondo VGC? This was a tournament winning team, right? So another Ninetales team with Iron Bundle. So this is, again, Blizzard spam from both the bundle and the Ninetales, right? And then at the same time, look, this is Terra Ice, so a little bit more spam. Finally, we get an Ogerpon here, but still we have the Landorus and Rillaboom here. But that is, again, still fine. Like, of course, Rillaboom and Ogerpon are gonna, you know, just spam Grassy Glides without a doubt. All right, and then Urshifu, you know, is pretty much Urshifu. Combos well with Fake Out Pressure because it's kind of hard to switch in to, you know, Fake Out Surging Strikes. But this is another way to use it, right? You know, have an Intimidator over here with the Landorus. You have a Fake Out option in the Rillaboom, and you have Redirection. Oh, no, you don't have Redirection, actually. They went for the Ivy Cudgel, Grassy Glide, and Horny, so 2 grass moves as opposed to 1. So still makes sense, right? You still have screens here, so that's okay. But this is another way to utilize it. Look, 10-2. That's a very, very impressive record. All right, then over here, McCalder, right? The famous one, of course. So here we go. Iron Bundle, Flutter Mane, Chi-Yu. Again, that familiar trio that we saw before. Icy Wind and Snarl with an Intimidate user like Landorus. Just makes the team relatively bulky. And then you have Iron Hands with Fake Out Pressure and an Amoonguss. And if you just consider this, this is pretty much the team we made. The only difference here is that there's a Ninetales, and then they have an Amoonguss, right? Which is okay because, again, you know, your VGC tools and, you know, just with Intimidate, Fake Out, Redirection support, and then the Amoonguss just helps you into those Trick Room games a little bit better. You still get speed control here with the Iron Bundle with Icy Wind. And then Flutter is also pretty good here because, you know, Sub Flutter is also very, very good into Trick Room games. So this is actually a really, really cool team. So I like it a lot. Then if we go into Aura Rayquaza's team, so similar ideas yet again with Flutter, Tornadus, and Iron Bundle. This one is Misty Terrain, Flutter Mane, so that's an interesting one. But Terra Grass Bundle with Icy Wind and the other 2 stab moves with Amoonguss and Ogerpon here. So still pretty cool. Another way of running the hyper offensive stuff with Iron Bundle. Then finally, we'll take a look at Justin Tang's team from Beast Coast. And, you know, this one has the King Gambit here, right? Which is really, really cool. But at the end of the day, look, again, Landorus, Rillaboom, Iron Hands, and then you have the bundle. So another common 4 trio. And then finally over here, like I said, we do have the Ogerpon and the King Gambit here. So a lot of familiar cores here, and a lot of them share some of those common options, right? And it's just really how you yourself want to play. Like over here, I want to play this behind Ninetales, right? I'm not really so, you know, high on the redirection here necessarily, right? So a snow team like this, right? You don't need Blizzard spam, but you still get like good redirection support and then Intimidate and Fake Out Pressure here. So if we could, like, we could even just like straight up just build this, and this is still like a relatively solid Iron Bundle team. All right, so then like just some general stuff here in terms of EV spreads. So, you know, starting with the Ninetales, we'll just do like our old stuff where we just go to about 188 investment just to outspeed Chi-Yu, for example. So we'll be faster than our Chi-Yu as well. And then from here, you know, just max HP. We don't really need special attack, right? It's just meant to be like supportive. So we just do a couple of this, right? So some nice even numbers just to get good balance with the Aurora Veil, right? You don't want odd numbers when you're using the Aurora Veil. Otherwise, you're going to get a decimal when you multiply by 1.5, and then things just round down. So we'll just do things like this. The Iron Bundle, Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, Icy Wind, and Protect. This is also like, again, a very standard set here. We're still going to go max speed here with Timid Nature. And then what we want to do is just to like invest enough HP and whatnot just to like survive maybe Ogerpon stuff. So when I was doing like some damage calcs, for example, we do have like a little bit of a bulky set here. So let's just go right here. So 220 HP and 12 defense. Like if this was like a Wood Hammer Ogerpon, you know, let's put it to like 28, I think, right? So right here. Actually, you can even put it to like 20 here, technically. So Wood Hammer, after an Intimidate from our Landorus into Jolly 252 Ogerpon, for example, you know, you can survive it. So you got that going for you. And then again, you have the Veil, you know, just in case this was like the the aspect over Ogerpon. So like, all right, it still works. So we'll just do it like that. So right, 220, about 20 here, just like 1 point in special attack. That's really all you need. In terms of something like that, I think we said, what was it, like 220? Yeah, 220, 220. Yeah, so that's okay. And then, you know, you can just put it like this, you know, just a little bit of 1 extra point here in special defense. Just a little bit more optimization. The chi, we'll leave the flutter for last. Actually, we'll just do like Iron Hands real quick. This is always like our spread here with Adamant Nature. The second EV bump here with 156 investment, right? You want pretty much max special defense, right, to survive, you know, Terra, Fairy, Moonblast, Flutter Mane, right, the modest sets, and then just a little bit of speed, you know, for potential speed ties. Landorus, you always want to go like max speed Adamant here. Now, there are some jolly Landoruses, but you know, again, we have a lot of control against some of those Landoruses out there. I don't even know if Landorus wants to come to this matchup, right? 116 investment is all we really need, right? And then from there, you just have 1 point in the bulk, right? And then the rest just goes into HP. The Chi-Yu, still max speed, timid nature, of course. And I think we just want to survive like Landorus stomping tantrums after intimidate. I think just this much investment is okay, right? Right there. This is a specs Chi-Yu, right? And then from there, just like a little bit of HP, you know, not a whole lot. And then you can even just check some of these damage calcs here. So if we just put like a Chi-Yu here, okay. Let's do like, yeah, so like 80. Let's see what like 84 and 4 does. And then let's go to like Iron Hands and Landorus, right? Because of the Drain Punch and the Stomping Tantrum stuff. So Iron Hands. Okay, so like let's say it's 236 attack, right? As you know, or even like max attack Iron Hands, which not too many people run. The Drain Punch pretty much KOs, but then if you intimidate it, right, you do live the Drain Punch, right? So that's the whole idea with this investment. So that's pretty good, and that's good enough for me. And then from there, you just have Flutter Mane here. I think we did everything here, right? Yeah, it's just the Flutter Mane. So this one, I'm gonna go Timid Nature here. Okay, and then just again go up to 189 just to outspeed the modest flutters, and then believe it or not, we're gonna go like super bulky here. Like let's go to 159, you know, for our Life Orb optimization. And again, I could have gone Pixie Plate here, but I decided to go Life Orb just for a little bit more damage for my Shadow Ball. So that's very much appreciated. So right here, this is pretty much all we really need, right? If anything, you can just do something like this. Right, go to 36, and then now you're just okay. And again, I went to 159 to optimize the Life Orb here. You always want to end in a 9 with the Life Orb. The 189 again is just to outspeed modest Flutter Manes here. And I think we got all the Terras here, right? This is Terra Ghost for Fake Out. This is Fairy for more damage. This is still Ghost again, Fake Out pressure. You know, with the Iron Hands, the fighting moves, or even Sacred Sword. Ninetales Terra Water, that's pretty good against Steel and Fire. And then flying over here, and Terra Fire for the Ogerpon stuff. Yeah, I think this is actually a relatively solid team. So let's go ahead and make this. All right, if we click the upload here, so it just looks relatively solid in all honesty. I think we pulled it up right over here. Yeah, there it is. So this is pretty much it. So, you know, now what we want to do is just like analyze it and just like look where we have it. So again, bulky stuff with Aurora Veil with an Intimidate support, and then here's Snarl. That's very good damage mitigation. Then you have decent speed control here with Icy Wind. You have Substitute here. That's also going to help you in Trick Room matchups. You have Fake Out pressure here. So, you know, lots of good tools here. So, you know, Intimidate, Fake Out, a little bit of speed control with the Icy Wind, and then of course you have the Aurora Veil for screens. So I think it's pretty good. Again, you can put a Mungus here, or you can even put like King Gambit. I think King Gambit here would also be pretty good, you know, with Landorus and Iron Hands, as well as behind screens here. But as far as like an IronBundle squad with like Flutter and Chi-Yu, I think that's always going to be good. All right, so now what we want to do is just quickly try it in like just a little bit of a best of one ladder stuff. Let's take a look. All right, so this is pretty good. This is a Moltres screens team. It almost looks like the Moltres team that we made, except there's like there's no Sinistra over here, but that's okay. Like this kind of Moltres team is still like pretty good and it still works. So he also has a snow team, so that's going to be good for our bundle, and we can put pressure on the Moltres and the Landorus here, and even his own Ogerpon. And then we have the water move for his Heatran. Look how good like IronBundle matches up into all this stuff. And then like Snarl from Chi-Yu can pressure the Ninetales, the Heatran, and even the Moltres, right? So to like just completely reduce their damage. And then even our own Landorus is pretty good against his Landorus, his Ogerpon, and his Iron Hand. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of like, you know, damage mitigation and like super effectiveness, right? So yeah. So here we go. I'm going to go with Bundle. I'm going to go with Chi-Yu here. So good damage already. So here's the hands and here's the Heatran. That's fine here. So what I want to do, you know, I'm going to go into Landorus, intimidate the Iron Hands just in case. I'm going to protect the Bundle first, see if he commits a Terra. He actually just protects the Heatran. So he goes Wild Charge in the Bundle. Okay, he's going to go into Landorus. That's a good play to intimidate my Landorus and to keep his Heatran alive. I could have almost freeze-dried that slot, but again, that's still pretty good. I wanted to double in just in case he wanted to do that kind of switch. So let's go back into Chi-Yu here. All right, and he goes into Heatran. That's a good play, right? Because I was going for, you know, I feel like that was one of my misplays. I could have easily just Hydro Pump there and it was always safe. Actually, was it safe? I just didn't want to miss. Like Freeze Dry was an obvious target, and you know, this is a good switch into Heatran. I guess looking back in hindsight, you know, Hydro Pump would have been a good play just in case, but I feel like it was still worth going for it because next turn I can just Snarl, right? So it's not a huge loss. All right, there's the Blizzard, and we take it very well because we're bulky. But here we go. He goes into Terra Grass again. He's forced to Terra, right? And I could have easily just like clicked Freeze Dry here. But you know, I just wanted to see if he would actually Terra, and he did. All right, so that's okay. And here's the Hydro Pump going into the Heatran slot, of course. But Snarl is actually really good here. That's great damage, and you know, -1. And you know, that's a lot into the bundle, but because we Snarl it, we're able to live, and we have a ton of HP, right? So we're able to survive that. He goes into Iron Hands here. I'm gonna protect the bundle this turn, and he protects the Heatran that turn. So that's a good play for him. Right, we get a little bit chip on the Iron Hands, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to go into Landorus, yet again, intimidating his Iron Hands. I'm going to go for Snarl yet again. We remove the Heatran, which is good. All right, and he whiffs the Wild Charge because we went into the ground type. That's kind of why I did that play. So that's a good turn 6. He comes his Landorus, so he gets to intimidate ours, which is all that great. Goes into Ninetales, which is fine, but I stay in. All right. I'm going to U-turn and get out of here. I'm going to go into Flutter Mane, right? He goes Rock Slide here, which does quite a bit of damage, but again, this is a good Snarl here. Like, Snarl is just so good. Like, this Chi-Yu is doing really, really well. Okay, then I'm going to go into Landorus, yet again, intimidating his Landorus, so it's all about Landorus and pivoting. Flutter Mane is able to take it. We're bulky. Dazzling Gleam, great damage. Unfortunately, even with the Life Orb not able to pick up, that would have been huge. The game would have been over in that sense, right? So, you know, in hindsight, could I have kept Chi-Yu in? Maybe, but I didn't want it to die. All right, there's a Roarville, so unfortunate there. I'm going to protect here. All right, we get rid of the Ninetales here, and there's just another Rock Slide. So he's Scarfed into Rock Slide, and I should have realized this, which means like that doesn't kill because he's intimidated, and I could have just easily killed this Landorus and ended the game right then and there. But, you know, this is like, again, me misplaying. So the game has to carry out for a little bit longer. I'm going to go into Chi-Yu here. You know, I don't want to get potentially heavy slammed there. So, and I was willing to give him the Chi-Yu anyway, right? So there it is. We do give him the Chi-Yu, right? But now we kind of we're still okay because now we're just like Scarf here. We just put more pressure on the Iron Hands, you know, just to definitely like put it in range. But, you know, we were already fine. He already committed the Heatran Terra. So now it's just a matter of like, you know, here we go. Let's go into Bundle. He'll remove the Bundle, I think. Oh, hey, we actually do live, and there's the Gleam, and we're able to finish things off. But in the grand scheme of things, like, I feel like we could have won that maybe 3 turns earlier because in hindsight, I realized, oh, Choice Scarf, Rock Slide, that's not going to pick up anything, especially when he was intimidated, and a bulky Flutter Mane, might I add. So, but in the grand scheme of things, like, it worked. Like, Bundle Snarls from Chi-Yu was actually really, really good, and my opponent couldn't really break through after that. So, yeah. So back to the squad here. So yeah, again, IronBundle, welcome back in regulationE. And again, we showed you a couple of cool teams that were able to utilize it, especially like a Ninetales Snow team, you know, especially with some stuff like Flutter and or Chi-Yu. Iron and then Iron Hands Landorus are just like 2 really, really strong staple Pokemon that are very, very splashable on almost any core, right? Because you get intimidated and fake out pressure, right? So give this one a go. Let me know how you do, right? I can't really make a rental out of this. So if someone wants to make a rental with this, that would definitely help me out a little bit, and we can always host it on the channel. But yeah, here's a free Iron Bundle paste. We'll put it in the video description. And again, if you need coaching for regulationE, if this is something you're considering, if you need help going to a regional or making a team for an online tournament, or just need something and just to flat out learn competitive Pokemon, if you want something for ranked ladder, for instance, you can definitely sub to the channel with the tier 3 sub. If you look in the video description, there is a link to join the channel with the tier 3, or in the pinned comment section, there is a link to join with, or a link to click to join with the tier 3 sub. All right, but yeah, let me know what you think of Iron Bundle in this format, but we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out. Have a good one.